What if these players in the NBA never had gotten injured the way that they did? It's a question fans ask all the time in sports. It acts as a security blanket for the future, or as a torture device for the present. I mean, drafting player X instead of player Y is a common what if. But at the same time, it can be said for injuries as well. First of all these players are not in order. This list is not a ranking and is not at all inclusive. If you think I missed someone, tell me down in the comment section below. And while you're at it, leave a like on the video and tell me down below in the comment section what NBA video I should do next. Or you can also comment down below a what if scenario. Let's get into it. Number 1, Gilbert Arenas. Agent Zero had a pretty good NBA career. I mean, he had a brilliant start, although short-lived career in the NBA. He almost single-handedly made the Wizards into contenders, setting franchise records for most points in a game at 60 and most three-pointers in a career, while also gaining the NBA record for most points in a single overtime at 16. 2 seasons back-to-back where he averaged 29 points and 28 points per game. But then, as we all know, Gilbert Arenas had a huge amount of injuries, and the injuries that he got were pretty bad. And unfortunately, it slowed this brilliant talent down, and Arenas was never able to dominate games the way he used to again. Number 2, Yao Ming. From the moment Yao Ming set foot in America in 2002, the 7'6" center had been at mercy of a heavy frame and glass feet. Yao missed the 2009-2010 season with a stress fracture in his left foot. He decided to try the same operation that saved Ilgauskas from a premature retirement. Doctors placed screws in Yao's foot to help strengthen the cracked bone. Tragically, his massive frame took a toll on his knees and ankles, which then he struggled to maintain his structure up and down the court night in and night out. At just age 30, Yao Ming was forced to leave the NBA for the sake of his body. I mean, he's 7'6" for God's sake. He was bound to deal with injuries, but I guess people thought that T-Mac and Yao could have gotten further than they did, if it wasn't for all the injuries they both had to deal with. Number 3, Bill Walton. In the Book of Basketball, written by Bill Simmons, he writes the following about Walton. While you read this, let me tell you a little bit about Bill Walton. Despite his amazing talent for the game of basketball, Walton holds the record for the most games missed during an NBA career. He also never played all 82 games in a season. Walton won 2 NBA championships in his career, 1 MVP at age 24, and he only played 65 games that year, which is pretty crazy. He was one of the best passing big men, but his body just couldn't stay healthy. Walton's body handling the physical toll of the NBA is one of the biggest what-ifs in basketball. Number 4, Ralph Sampson. After the Houston Rockets made the 7'4" center the number 1 pick in the 1983 NBA draft, Sampson won the NBA Rookie of the Year and made it to the NBA All-Star team behind averages of 21 points and 11 rebounds per game. The following year, the Rockets used yet another number 1 overall selection on Hakeem Olajuwon, which actually could have been Michael Jordan, but yeah, if you guys want to watch a what if on Michael Jordan, I'll drop a link in the description. The Twin Towers tandem was meant to anchor Houston for years to come, but Sampson's body had other plans. Sampson did average 21 points and 11 rebounds through his first 3 NBA seasons, but then he averaged 15.6 points per game from 1986 to 1988, as knee and back problems began to take their toll. Many members of the NBA community thought that Sampson had a chance to become one of the best players of all time. After dominating in college ranks, he appeared poised to meet those expectations after 3 great seasons, but injuries derailed a very promising start to his career. Number 5, Penny Hardaway. Remember how Penny Hardaway was supposed to team up with Shaq O'Neal and rule the NBA landscape for a decade? I mean, it started out really promising. 2 years after the Magic's first ever finals appearance, O'Neal went to Hollywood to join the LA Lakers and Hardaway was left alone in the Magic. The league's dynasty in the making never came to full power, in large part because Hardaway endured one devastating knee setback after another. A surgery forced him to miss most of the 97-98 season, but he actually returned to action that year and played in the All-Star game, but quickly re-aggravated his knee, and yeah, each time Penny had surgery, each subsequent operation further destroyed his trademark explosiveness, which is actually a little bit like the next guy. Number 6, Derrick Rose. Now, I wasn't gonna put him in this list, and I know that some may disagree that he's actually in the list, but it's just crazy to me that he was the youngest MVP winner of all time, And how can he go from one of the top point guards, arguably the greatest player in 2011, to a player that is just slowly fading away? Once again, if you want to see a what if on Derrick Rose, I'll drop a link in the description. It's been 5 years and 3 knee surgeries since Derrick Rose became the youngest player to win an MVP, and it seems like we've had many players, even some careers, that have planned out since Rose was on top. But in saying that, he's continuing to show glimpses of his vintage bag of tricks. Honestly, I would love to see the old Derrick Rose back, and I'm hoping that Rose can come back next season and kill it. But sadly, I don't think he will. Number 7, Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady was an absolute star in the NBA in the early 2000s, often drawing comparisons for his scoring to Kobe Bryant. He made 7 All-Star games and led the league in scoring twice, but issues with his back really took a toll, and he never made much of an impact after he turned 28. To give you an idea, Michael Jordan, Air Jordan, at age 31 was in the midst of a legendary championship run that cemented him in the eyes of many as the greatest player in NBA history. McGrady at 31 cannot even convince a team to sign him for the veterans minimum. How did one of the 5 greatest talents to ever glance at the hardwood fall so hard so fast? Maybe that's because for 8 seasons straight he averaged no less than 36 minutes per game. There are so many what ifs about Tracy McGrady. What if he never got injured? What if T-Mac stayed in Toronto with Vince Carter? What if McGrady played with a healthy Grant Hill? Which actually leads us into the next NBA player. But also, comment down below, should I do a what if on Tracy McGrady? And if so, which one should I do? Because there's so many of them. Number 8, Grant Hill. Grant Hill was a huge star coming out of Duke. The 2-time NCAA champion was taken 3rd overall in the 1994 NBA draft by the Detroit Pistons, and he regularly led his team in points and rebounds over his career. Hill put up points, rebounds, and assist numbers that only matched by LeBron James, Oscar Robertson, and Larry Bird. To give you a little bit of a perspective on Grant Hill, he was the LeBron James before LeBron James. He was actually projected to be one of the top players of all time, but tragically, Grant Hill obviously had the injuries. I mean, that's why he's on this list. But if you didn't know about Grant Hill, he could have been the LeBron James before LeBron James if it wasn't for his injuries. Unfortunately, once Hill left Detroit and joined contenders, his legs started to give out, and his effectiveness was drastically limited. Which is truly devastating, because if Grant Hill and Tracy McGrady could have both stayed healthy on the Magic, wow, you never know what they could have been. Number 9, Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy came into the league with many people believing that he would be a solid scorer, but they believed that he would be a solid scorer coming off the bench. But instead, they obviously found he could do a lot more than that. After being drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves, Roy was immediately moved to the Trailblazers and played alongside LaMarcus Aldridge, who was actually the star in Portland. Brandon won Rookie of the Year in 2007, and it appeared that the league had its next greatest shooting guard. After making 3 All-Star games, the cartilage in his knees began to dwindle, and he struggled to garner the power in his legs that he needed to be effective. At just 27 years old, Brandon Roy retired from the NBA. He made a short comeback in attempt with Minnesota, the team that drafted him in 2012, but Roy only played in 5 games before needing another knee operation. And it's pretty sad that that's how his career played out. Number 10, Greg Oden. With hindsight, it's easy to blame the Portland Trailblazers front office for selecting Greg Oden ahead of Kevin Durant, but Oden's rare combination of size, athleticism, and basketball skill at the time was too good not to draft. And well, that's what the Blazers obviously thought. The sad thing is, the Blazers drafted Greg Oden, and they were looking so good. And I mean really good. Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, a 20-year-old Nicholas Batum, and Greg Oden? I mean, that's a pretty solid 4 out of 5 guys. Unfortunately, injuries completely blew what this team could have become, with Roy and Oden constantly fighting injuries. Maybe this is another what-if scenario that you guys would like to see. Comment down below. It's also really sad because Oden wasn't one of those players like Kwame Brown or Anthony Bennett. He was a genuine big man that could play. He just had horrible injuries. If not for the injuries, Oden would have been a dominant NBA big man. Now, that is 1 to 10. Obviously, like I said before, this is not in order, And there are plenty of other players. Like some honorable mentions, I guess would have to be Sam Bowie, Andrew Bynum, Danny Manning, TJ Ford, Brad Daugherty, and probably Jay Williams. Now, yeah, if you guys have any players that you reckon should be in this list, comment them down below, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could drop a like on this video for the next what if scenario. And while you're at it, comment down below a what if scenario that you have down in the comment section below. If you're new to this channel, definitely hit that subscribe button for more what ifs and more videos to come. And without further ado, it's been your boy Nick Smith, and I'm out. Peace.